Good morning, Stampers. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and today is Fun Fold Day. It is the last Thursday of the month. So on the last Thursday, I try to do a fun fold. Today I'm going to do one that is called a suspended book fun fold. And I first saw it from a demonstrator in the UK. I think her name was Jan B. And she made this in a 5x7 size format. And I wanted to try to do it in our typical A2 5.5 by 4.25. So did a little experimenting and finally got the proportions the way I wanted it. So let's go ahead and flip my camera over. I got a little bit different setup today. As you probably can see behind me, I have moved my video area to the other end of the room. I hope it works okay for lighting. If the lighting is different down here. I've got more lights on the ceiling, but I'm finding they're kind of making some shadows. So we're going to give it a go today. Bear with me. I also don't know exactly where stuff is yet because I've been moving things down to this end over the last week. So, but we're going to give it a shot. So when I do a fun fold for the first time, I typically will make a template to help me. And this part of the fun fold is the book. Okay, this little loose piece. And it is suspended here on a couple of mechanisms. Hopefully you can see that. It does sit up very nicely for displaying. And you can decorate it in lots of different ways. I'm going to do this one is not decorated. My templates I don't decorate. I just use some retired cardstock and retired designer series paper to make sure I got the proportions the way I wanted it, because the 5x7 is much larger, right? So I'm going to keep it simple today because the main point here is to show you how to make the fun fold. So I am going to use Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper, and the paper is going to do the work for us. All I'm going to do is add a couple of sentiments. So we start out with a standard 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock scored at 4.25. This will be the front of our cardstock. And then I did most of my cutting, so we just have some decorative pieces that I will be putting on the front. But before we do that, we need to do the mechanisms. So I didn't show you how to score the card base. I think you all know how to score an 8.5 by 4.25 card base. We have two pieces that are actually three, but two different pieces that have to be scored. This piece here is 4.25 by 4. So it is as tall as the card base, 4.25, okay? And that is the book. So that's this piece. It's 4.25 by 4, and then I scored it at 2. So I've already done that, but I would just lay the 4-inch side along the top and score at 2. Okay, so that is scored just right down the middle, and that way the book just folds as a book. Now our mechanisms, I have two pieces that are 4 1/2. Let me double check, make sure I got them right. 4.5 by 1.25. And these are actually 1.5. So did I do that right? This is 1.5. Oh yeah, 1.5 by 4.25. I was looking at the wrong line. Now, these two pieces are our two mechanisms. So it's these little pieces over here. And we put those on first. So let's just go, those get scored at 1 and an 1/8, and they're both going to be done exactly the same. So at 1 and an 1/8, and make sure I don't get my cutter. I've been known to do that. 2 1/4, and 3 3/8. That basically just means I've scored 3 times, and each of them are 1 and an 1/8. Okay, so again, we'll do this one, 1 and 1/8, and don't worry too much about the dimensions. I will put a link down below the tutorial to this card we're making today. So it will have all the dimensions on it. So that was 1 and an 1/8, 2 1/4, and 3 3/8. Okay, and that is all of our scoring. I'm going to put my trimmer away. And we'll grab the bone folder. I hope the lighting's okay. It looks pretty good on my phone, which is what I'm recording the desktop with. As I look at my laptop, it looks a little dark, so could be my laptop, could be, who knows. If you're having trouble with the lighting, leave me a comment so I know I need to make adjustments next time. So we just scored and burnished each of those, and we're going to burnish them all in the same direction. And now we're going to place these on our card base. And what we want to do first is to find the center of our card base. So this is 5 1/2. So the center of 5 1/2 would be 2 3/4. And we're just going to make a light line at 2 3/4. Now this was a bad choice of paper, I can see. Because it is very hard to see that on this dark paper. But I'm just going to draw a light line down the center. Now I could have done this a different way. I could have gone 2 3/4. Let me slide this up just a bit. If I put this on the center, I could have gone 2 3/4 in each direction. And then there would be my center line. That's probably easier, maybe even easier for you to see. And we're just going to make a line on there. You can make it as light as you want it. It's going to all get covered up, so no need to worry. Now we're going to take our mechanism and we're going to take the one end and we're going to place this up against this line. And I'm going to add adhesive on here and adhere it. Now you can vertically eyeball it. I know that it's down 1 3/8, which is about right there. You could mark that with your pencil as well. Where's my adhesive? Here we go. Like I said, I feel like I'm working in the mirror image of what I've done for the last several months. Okay, so I know I said that was 1 3/8 down from the top. And again, if you're anal like me, we're going to put it on this side so I can see it. And hopefully you can see it. There's 1 3/8, which is right about there, halfway between 1/4 and 1/2. And we're just going to line that up. Give it a good press. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And this one's easy because we're just going to line it up, right? So let's add some adhesive on here. This is a very simple fun fold, but I like it because it stands up for display when you send it to somebody. Okay. Liquid adhesive, you can use any kind of adhesive. Just make sure it's a nice, strong adhesive. You could use tear and tape if you wanted. That works fine too. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put, you're probably wondering, why didn't she put her designer paper on here? Because I needed to know where to put it, all right? So if I look at this, I'm gonna put one piece on the inside and two pieces on this side. So we're gonna put one piece right next to this center point, okay? And let's just go ahead and put these on. This is the Thoughtful Journey designer paper. And I just picked kind of an all over print for these. Now, I'm gonna show you a couple more cards. I feel like I need my glasses. Where I matted each of these pieces, I decided for the purpose of the video, that doesn't really provide you any additional insight as to how to make the card. So I decided to keep it simple. So we've got two pieces there now in the center. Now we're going to fold this over and we're going to put two on here. This piece will not get any, because that's going to get adhered to the book, back of the book. Okay. You want to kind of try to line them up across the top. It's not, you're not really going to be able to see it once you get your whole card put together. Now we're going to flip the other side over and we're going to put it on again, these two pieces closest to this fold. Now, if I were matting this, I would just put them onto the mats and then put them onto the little mechanism. But that is that. That is all there is to that mechanism. We are now going to take our designer series paper. And again, if I were matting them, I'd put them on a mat. And we're going to lay these, we're going to cover up. I did this wrong. So sorry. Let me see if I can get this off. I knew something wasn't looking right. So let's just, okay. We're gonna try this again. Fortunately, this isn't gonna show much. And I could probably just cut a couple new pieces. Why don't I do that? That's probably just the easiest. So I have my 1.5 inch strip, and these pieces are, looking at my, they are 1 1/4. All right, so we're just going to cut these. Something that's, no, they are 7/8. Okay, this is kind of a mess, isn't it? I'm a mess today. I think I'm so worried about my lighting and all that stuff and figuring out where to put things down here at this end of the room. And I didn't really pay enough attention to the directions to make the card. Oh well, you'll get the drift. So we want this here. And I'm just going to leave that one on there. It's going to get covered up. It won't show anyway. Okay, so these are 1 1/4 by 7/8. I still feel like I have something wrong. But I think it's right now. Oh, no, that's not right. It slid. Boy, I am a mess. Okay. Now I gotta find my pieces. All right, now we're gonna put this piece in between there, and we're going to cover up that mess I just made. Okay. So center it top to bottom and center it between these two score lines as best you can. And these did have some sort of a design. So there we go. So I'm going to put this one over here. You're probably thinking she should go back to her other end of the room. She was better organized over there. It's going to take me a while to get used to working down here. And again, the lighting is great for crafting. I'm not sure how good it is for videoing. I feel like it's a little dark, and I'm having a more difficult time getting the lights where I want them. But hopefully you'll get the gist. And I didn't totally confuse you. All right, that was a little crooked, but I don't think I can. We're going to leave it. Okay. Now, to put our book fold on here, I'm going to put the pieces on the inside first. So I chose a different piece design from Thoughtful Journey, and this is going to be what the inside of our book is like. So we're just going to put one of those on each side. I have such sticky fingers already, and I have no idea where my hand sanitizer is to get the glue off. It's somewhere, but it's not here where I'm working. I don't know. Next week's will be better, I hope. Something else will go wrong next week. So while I'm gluing this, I would be remiss if I didn't mention to you that this is the last week of the joint offer at Stampin' Up, where you can get $165 worth of product for $99, and that includes free shipping. So that is the best deal ever. The joint offer is always the best, but this month it is particularly good. So if you have ever thought of becoming a demonstrator, or you just want to get the discount, that's wonderful. That's how most people start out. It's just, I'm going to get the discount, right? Okay, so now we're going to fold this in half, and I'm going to put adhesive on here, and then I'm going to line this up with the edge of that mechanism. Okay, so I'm going to add some, and I recommend you do one side at a time, and you'll see why in a minute, because I can already see if I did not do one at a time, I would have a problem. But it'll be fine. So again, line the fold of your book to the edge of your mechanism, and you want to line it vertically so the bottom edge and the top edge are aligned with your card base. And then let's just hold that there a minute and give the liquid adhesive time to go. Now, you may have noticed when I close these, I have a little gap here. That could be because of variation in how I scored, or maybe a little variation in how I cut the cardstock. But it's not really that important, because we're now going to just open this up and adhere it down, okay? So again, I'm going to put adhesive just on this end tab here of the mechanism, the end section. fold this down, and then fold this and close it. And give it a hold a minute, let the liquid adhesive dry. And there we go. Our suspended book fold is done. Okay. All we need, the fun fold part of it's done. All we need now to do is decorate it. I did already complete an inside. I am using a new stamp set called Paper Tags. This is the Paper Tag stamp set. And it's a bundle. It comes with some dies. So I am using stamps from here for my sentiments. For the front, I am going to use Happiness Enclosed. And I have this stamped. I stamped it with Mossy Meadow. Does that sound right? Seems like that's what the dark green is, Mossy Meadow. Yeah, that's what the card base is. And then this is a die from this stamp set that has this little flag. Now it's kind of cool because actually if you use, I call it a dog bone die, it actually fits over that die. If I were to die cut one of these, I mean, we're not going to do that for this card, but you can see if you take the, this fits over the top, and this is a little bit, the die obviously is larger, but your dog bone die would sit right in there, and this would go over it. So it's kind of a cool concept, I thought, but we're just going to put this down. I don't know, let's put it up here. Like I said, I'm going to focus on the image, so we could add more decoration, but let's just keep it simple for today's purposes. I have 2 more cards I will show you. That are a little more decorated than this one. They do have the mats on them, but we will keep this simple. So let's just put that there. And then on the inside, we're just going to add here. I used another piece of the same designer paper that I used for the mechanisms. So, and it's the opposite side of this one. And I just use that for my mat. I don't often use my designer series paper for mats, but I wasn't coming up with, I was getting tired of putting the little strips that I usually put. I wanted to do something different. So I thought, well, this will just give a little color all the way around. So there we go. Quick, simple, right? I do think it needs some gems. I am going to use these flowers here, a Petunia Pop. So let's go ahead and add some Petunia Pop shimmer gems to it. It needs a little something. And I'll put one more over here. So at least it has a little bit of bling, right? So you bring this in close. You see that okay? I think it's a fun fold, pretty easy. It's a great way to use up your designer series paper. I know none of us have too much of that. All right, let's show you the other cards. The first card I'm showing you, this was made with Feathered Friends. And this is one of the little birds from Feathered Friends. I don't know what kind of a bird this is. It's just a cute little bird. Looks like it could be a chickadee or even a sparrow. I just wanted pretty colors. So I selected Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie. There's a little bit of, you can see the shimmer from Wink of Stella on there. And again, this is made with beautiful gallery designer series paper. And I used one of these scenes with the house. I think this little guy's looking for a place to build his nest somewhere in the eaves of that old, I'm not sure if it's an old house or an old barn, but it certainly does need the grass mowed, doesn't it? And then here I added a die cut from the same stamp, it's beautiful motifs. I think is the, or beautiful gallery is the suite of products, and they have some stamps. So that is that. On the inside, I had a scrap left over from the house, this end over here. So I just put that on the inside. So that is that card. And then my last card, I used, can't remember the name of it right now. Pretty Flowers, I think it's called, or Pretty Florals, something like that. I didn't pull those out here. I am discombobulated and disorganized today. I'm sorry. But here rather than using designer paper, I embossed just white paper or white cardstock, and I made some flowers with the stamps and dies from that Pretty Florals. I think it's called Pretty Florals stamp set. So here's, again, the suspension. It's suspended on these little mechanisms. And the inside, this was from a scrap of the designer paper that I had left over after I cut these panels. And you can see these, I did put pretty peacock mats around each of them. Here I have Lost Lagoon mats around those. And it does give it a little bit more pop, but I think this is pretty too. Sometimes we don't necessarily need to add more when we have pretty designer paper, right? So those are my 3 cards. What do you think? I hope you liked them. Here's my envelope. I used the same as I did for these pieces. Okay, so there are those 3 cards. I hope you like that. Let me flip this back. I can figure out how to do it. That's not it. Okay, there we go. Oh, I made it. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Don't forget about the join offer. It's a great deal. $165 worth of stuff for $99, including shipping, because we know how expensive shipping for everything is getting these days, right? So I hope you like that fun code. I hope you give it a try. Check the description down below, and it will have the tutorial for the card that we made today. And it'll have all the dimensions, cutting dimensions, scoring dimensions. If you want to add mats, this card, the Feathered Friends card, will be on my blog tomorrow. And there will be a tutorial there that you can also download. So that'll give you dimensions if you want to add the mats. All right. Have a great day. God bless. Let me know if the lighting's driving you nuts. I know we've got these 2 little lights behind me. They kind of bug me when I'm looking at myself, but I hope they didn't mess with the quality of the video, because it does add a fair amount of light to the desktop. So again, have a great one, my friends, and we will see you next week with something else. Bye-bye.